Hi there. So, as part of my plans for the summer, I'm going to be reading some excerpts from my old childhood favorites. So, this is today's edition. So, I'm reading from Andersen's Fairy Tales, and today's story is The Ugly Duckling. It's one of my favorites from when I was a child. The Ugly Duckling. The country was lovely just then. It was summer. The wheat was golden and the oats still green. The hay was stacked in the rich, low-lying meadows where the stork was marching about on his long red legs, chattering Egyptian, the language his mother had taught him. Round about field and meadow lay great woods, in the midst of which were deep lakes. Yes, the country certainly was delicious. In the sunniest spot stood an old mansion surrounded by a deep moat, and great dock leaves grew from the walls of the house right down to the water's edge. Some of them were so tall that a small child could stand upright under them. Ooh. In amongst the leaves it was as secluded as in the depths of the forest, and there a duck was sitting on her nest. Her little ducklings were just about to be hatched, but she was nearly tired of sitting, for it had lasted such a long time. Moreover, she had very few visitors, as the other ducks liked swimming about in the moat better than waddling up to sit under the dock leaves and gossip with her. At last, one egg after another began to crack. Cheep, cheep, they said. All the chicks had come to life and were poking their heads out. Quack, quack, said the duck. And then they all quacked their hardest and looked about them on all sides among the green leaves. Their mother allowed them to look as much as they liked, for green is good for the eyes. How big the world is, to be sure, said all the young ones, for they certainly had never ever so much more room to move about than when they were inside the eggshell. Do you imagine this is the whole world? Said the mother. It stretches a long way on the other side of the garden, right into the parson's field. But I have never been as far as that. I suppose you are all here now? And she got up. No, I declare I have not got you all yet. The biggest egg is still there. How long is it going to last? And then she settled herself on the nest again. Good mom. Well, how are you getting on? Said an old duck who had come to pay her a visit. This one egg is taking such a long time, answered the sitting duck. The shell will not crack. But now you must look at the others. They are the finest ducklings I have ever seen. They are all exactly like their father, the rascal. He never comes to see me. Let me look at the egg which won't crack, said the old duck. You may be sure that it is a turkey's egg. I've been cheated like that once, and I had no end of trouble and worry with the creatures, for I may tell you that they are afraid of the water. I could not get them into it. I quacked and snapped at them, but it was no good. Let me see the egg. Yes, it is a turkey's egg. You just leave it alone and teach the other children to swim. I will sit on it a little longer. I have sat so long already that I may as well go on till the midsummer fair comes round. Please yourself, said the old duck, and she went away. At last the big egg cracked up. Ooh. Cheep, cheep, said the young one and tumbled out. How big and ugly he was! The duck looked at him. That is a monstrous big duckling, she said. None of the others look like that. Can he be a turkey chick? Well, we shall soon find that out. Into the water he shall go, if I have to kick him in myself. Next day was gloriously fine, and the sun shone on all the green dock leaves. The mother duck with her whole family went down to the moat. Splash into the water she sprang. Quack, quack, she said, and one duckling plumped in after the other. The water dashed over their heads, but they came up again and floated beautifully. Their legs went off themselves, and they were all there. Even the big, ugly gray one swam about with them. No, that is no turkey, she said. See how beautifully he uses his leg, and how erect he holds himself. He is my own chick. After all, he is not so bad when you come to look at him properly. Quack, quack. Now, come with me, and I will take you into the world and introduce you to the duck yard. But keep close to me all the time, so that no one may tread upon you, and beware of the cat. Then they went into the duck yard. There was a fearful uproar going on, for two broods were fighting for the head of an eel, and in the end the cat captured it. That's how things go in the world, said the mother duck, and she licked her bill, for she wanted the eel's head herself. Use your legs, said she, mind you quack properly, and bend your necks to the old duck over there. She is the grandest of them all. She has Spanish blood in her veins, and that accounts for her size. And do you see? She has a red rag around her leg. That is a wonderfully fine thing, and the most extraordinary mark of distinction any duck can have. It shows clearly that she is not to be parted with, and that she is worthy of recognition both by beasts and men. Quack now! Don't turn your toes in. A well-brought-up duckling keeps his legs wide apart, just like father and mother. That's it. Now bend your necks and say quack. They did as they were bid. But the other ducks round about looked at them and said quite loud, Just look there! Now, we are to have that tribe, just as if there were not enough of us already. And oh dear! How ugly that duckling is! We won't stand him. And a duck flew at him at once and bit him in the neck. Let him be, said the mother. He is doing no harm. Very likely not, but he is so ungainly and queer, said the biter. He must be whacked. They are handsome children mother has, said the old duck, with the rag around her leg. All good-looking, except this one, and he is not a good specimen. It's a pity you can't make him over again. That can't be done, your grace, said the mother duck. He is not handsome, but he is a thorough good creature, and he swims as beautifully as any of the others. Nay, I think I might venture even to add that I think he will improve as he goes on, or perhaps in time he may grow smaller. He was too long in the egg, and so he has not come out with a very good figure. And then she patted his neck and stroked him down. Besides, he is a drake, said she, so it does not matter so much. I believe he will be very strong, and I don't doubt but he will make his way in the world. The other ducklings are very pretty, said the old duck. Now, make yourselves at home, and if you find the head of an eel, you may bring it to me. After that, they felt quite at home, but the poor duckling, which had been the last to come out of the shell, and who was so ugly, was bitten, pushed about, and made fun of, both by the ducks and the hens. He is too big, they all said. And the turkey-cock, who was born with the spurs on, and therefore thought himself quite an emperor, puffed himself up like a vessel in full sail made for him, and gobbled till he became quite red in the face. The poor duckling was at his wits' end, and did not know which way to turn. He was in despair because he was so ugly and the butt of the whole duck-yard. So the first day passed, and afterwards matters grew even worse. The poor duckling was chased and hustled by all of them. Even his brothers and sisters ill-used him, and they were always saying, If only the cat would get hold of you, you hideous object. Even his mother said, I wish to goodness you were miles away. The ducks bit him, the hens pecked him, and the girl who fed them kicked him aside. Ah, poor duckling. Then he ran off and flew right over the hedge, where the little birds flew up into the air in a fright. That is because I am so ugly, thought the poor duckling, shutting his eyes. But he ran on all the same. Then he came to a great marsh where the wild ducks lived. He was so tired and miserable that he stayed there the whole night. In the morning, the wild ducks flew up to inspect their new comrade. What sort of creature are you? They inquired, as the duckling turned from side to side and greeted them as well as he could. You are frightfully ugly, said the wild ducks. But that does not matter to us, so long as you do not marry into our family. Poor fellow, he had not thought of marriage. All he wanted was permission to lie among the rushes and to drink a little of the marsh water. He stayed there 2 whole days. Then 2 wild geese came, or rather 2 wild ganders. They were not long out of the shell, and therefore rather pert. I say, comrade, they said, you are so ugly that we have taken quite a fancy to you. Will you join us and be a third of passage? There is another marsh close by, and there are some young charming wild geese there, all sweet young ladies, who can say quack. You are ugly enough to make your fortune among them. Just at that moment, bang, bang was heard up above, and both the wild geese fell dead among the reeds, and the water turned blood red. Bang, bang went the guns, and whole flocks of wild geese flew up from the rushes, and the shot peppered them again. There was a grand shooting party, and the sportsmen lay hidden round the marsh. Some even sat on the branches of the trees which overhung the water. The blue smoke rose like clouds among the dark trees and swept over the pool. The water dogs wandered about in the swamp. Splash, splash! The rushes and reeds bent beneath their tread on all sides. It was terribly alarming to the poor duckling. He twisted his head round to get it under his wing, and just at that moment a frightful big dog appeared close beside him. His tongue hung right out of his mouth, and his eyes glared wickedly. He opened his great chasm of a mouth close to the duckling, showed his sharp teeth, and splash went on without touching him. "Oh, thank heaven," sighed the duckling. "I am so ugly that even the dog won't bite me." Then he lay quite still while the shot whistled among the bushes, and bang after bang rent the air. It only became quiet late in the day, but even then the poor duckling did not dare to get up. He waited several hours more before he looked about, and then he hurried away from the marsh as fast as he could. He ran across fields and meadows, and there was such a wind that he had hard work to make his way. Well, we are going to stop right there today. You will have to join me tomorrow for the next installment of The Ugly Duckling from Andersen's Fairy Tales. I hope this has been fun. Have a good night.